Let's talk about exploitation or personal consequences of exploitation. But before moving into this topic, let's talk about exploitation itself for a while. What does exploitation means? When one person is abusing other person's vulnerability, their weaknesses, that's exploitation. If I am someone who is taking unfair advantages of the other person because they are weak, because they are vulnerable, because they are not so much intelligent, or in whatever way, if I am the person who is taking unfair advantage of the other person, then I am exploiting them. And exploitation, you see it everywhere. Y- you see it literally everywhere, from our homes, from our families, to our friends, businesses, societies, neighborhoods. Globally, exploitation is everywhere. In a family, we might say the person or the family member who is really kind and who always says yes to everyone and who is very patient. The other family member who might not be a really good human being is start exploiting this guy or this woman or this girl because they are so good, and because they are so lenient. All the work of the home this person is supposed to do, that's exploitation. Let's talk about our friends for a while. What happened in a friend circle? If there is a group of people, if there is a group of friends, and there's one single guy or one single girl who's not so intelligent, who doesn't has much of the money, who doesn't wear very expensive clothes, doesn't have very branded things. Then, if the other friends are not very good human being, they start exploiting this single person in the group. They start making jokes about them. They start humiliating him. They start humiliating them. They start making comments about him. This person becomes a joke. So that's exploitation. Let's walk into the business field now. There's this new guy who has money, but he is not very intelligent, or he's not very sharp or very clever with the rules and everything that happens in the society. He is a new business. He is new in the field of entrepreneurship, walking in the field with a ton of money. What do some clever foxes do in the businesses? They tell this guy, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll take care of everything. You just give me the money. And these clever foxes are really, really intelligent in making people trust them. They are very, really, very intelligent in gaining the trust of other people. So what happens? This person, I'm reminded of this thing which happened in Palestine right now. There's a region in Palestine, Ramallah, where a girl opened a cafe over there, and she almost invested $100,000 in that cafe, and that cafe was going good. Things were happening nice in that cafe. Just a few days ago, I saw a video that I'm closing my cafe. What happened? Well, I got scammed. The people, and there were many things she told which I didn't even understood. But what actually happened was she got scammed of her money. That's what happened in business world, where a person who has money, He comes into the field of business to start a business, to start an honest living. And there are clever foxes around there who gain the trust of the people and then exploit them. So that's what exploitation in a nutshell will be. Just taking unfair advantage of the other party because they are vulnerable, because they are weak, because they are not very intelligent, things like that. So, and this when these things keep happening from family to friend to neighborhood to societies to nations to literally globally, this just become a norm. Inequality and scams and frauds become a identity, I would say. I'm reminded of this another video which I watched where there were these elderly people in the US who were getting scammed by these Indian call centers who were making these some calls from India to US, and they were targeting elder people, and they were literally robbing them out of all of their pension money, leaving them bankrupt. This happened in India, and maybe it's still happening in many parts of India. That's exploitation. Another kind of global exploitation, where a rich country forces a weak country to do what it wants. Otherwise, I'll put sanctions on you. Otherwise, I'll make sure that there will be a chaos in the country. That's a form of exploitation. So let's talk about the personal consequences of exploitation. What happens at a personal level? Well, one of the hidden cancer, like the way I like to call it, a hidden cancer in our society is debt. Debt, DEBT, debt. Debt taken on interest, the interest, not really debt, not really debt. The hidden cancer, interest. Interest is a hidden cancer of societies. You, especially in the US, you walk. Let's focus on New York City right now. You walk around the city and you see all these sky high buildings and billionaire row and this and that and that and this and all those fancy things and Hudson Yard and everything. And then on the contrast, you see there are people who are buying their groceries from credit card because they can't afford their food. Same city. And these people are working hard just to make their end meets. Why is that happening? Well, it has been a system. There has been a system of enslaving people. And in my prior videos, I have talked about this a lot. And I'll, inshallah, keep talking about this until I have created if enough awareness about this thing, because this is a crisis. Literally, I was doing some research, and I was doing some research on the crisis and what are the crises happening right now in 2026, and there was a debt crisis that is happening where not even individual, literally the nations are in the debt crisis. Just yesterday, I made a video where I was talking about the US paying $880 billion in just interest payment, not the principal money, interest payment. 2024, $880 billion on interest payments. So, how are things working? Well, People can't afford homes, so they take loans. For those who don't qualify, they live on rents. The rents are so high that it's literally a havoc to some people. And then people are working, they're 9 to 5, they're working hard, they're even working two jobs in a day just to survive. They're paying their repayments for whatever their mortgages, their student loan, their payday loan, their credit card, their whatever it is, and they're working and they're working and they're working and they're not moving anywhere. It's like walking on a treadmill. You are putting on your efforts, but the treadmill never stops, and you are not going anywhere. You're not reaching anywhere. You're just walking and exhausting yourself out. The treadmill is not getting slow, and you are not reaching anywhere. That's what these cycles of debt are. These banks and these corporations make sure that the majority of the population are enslaved. And how are they enslaved? The slavery is how are they enslaved? Just keep their necks heavy burdened with high interest payments. It can be mortgage loan, it can be student loan, it can be credit card, it can be car loan, payday, lease to rent, LOC. No, no, lease to rent, LT, LTR, or some kind of contract, which is happening in the cities. So what happens when this is a kind of situation in a society, in a country? Individuals get stuck in the cycle of credit card debt, payday loan, LTO contracts here. I mean, just imagine there are people working 24/7, and not 24/7, but there are people working hard, and still majority of the money is going into the repayments and the rents, the rents which are very high because of these debts and interest and all the housing crisis and all this system which has been created to enslave people. While on the other side, who are the people benefiting from it? Well, the banks are, the corporations are. They make sure to enslave everyone, to force people to take debt. They make sure that people keep giving them interest, and while on the other side, the government start raising taxes or implementing new taxes. Where is a way out? Do you see a way out over here? You're stuck in repayment cycle. On the other side, the banks are forcing you to pay the taxes and implementing new taxes. They're not very jobs. You don't have any business. Literally, people are surrounded. And to make sure that the people don't start protesting and don't start coming back after these corporations and banks, so there has to be a propaganda in the society, and that propaganda can be anything. It can be the minorities, that the minorities are the problem. It can be the terrorists, Muslim terrorists, they are the problem. I mean, there has to be some kind of propaganda going over there. It can be Islamophobia, or we have to fund Israel to commit genocide. This is very important. but never coming after the banks, making sure that the people don't go after the banks or the corporations. That's what happened on personal level. What more happened? People lose their dignity. People feel powerless, constantly working just to pay interest or fee, never truly moving forward. Just what I was talking. People literally lose their dignity. And imagine a person who is working hard, who is paying their taxes, paying their rents, paying their bills, fees, everything, and still they're not able to move forward in life. They're not able to grow. They're just stuck. They're literally stuck. Where should such a person go? What should such a person do? Another consequence of the exploitations is the addiction and despair which happens. Gambling and betting app start exploiting hopes, leaving people drained financially and emotionally. When you see such kind of situation, then also there are new companies and new individuals who start coming up. Oh, I will save you. I will help you. You invest in this app. You invest in that app. This is a gambling app. This is this. This is that. This is that. Do this, and you'll earn money. And people do because people are desperate. People are desperate. So they go and they do these things. And what end up happening? Again they lose money. Again they lose hope. It's literally like a catastrophe. Now let's talk about the social consequences. We just talked about the consequences which happens on a personal level. Let's move on and let's talk about social consequences. What's happening on a social level where exploitation has just become a norm. Broken trust, of course. People, communities, communities fracture when the strong prey on the weak. Communities fracture; they literally break when there are strong people who are exploiting the weak people in the society, in the community. Just imagine a neighborhood where there is one wealthy person and there are rest not very strong people, and that wealthy guy start exploiting these poor people around his house. What will happen to such a neighborhood? Will that neighborhood be happy? Will there be peace in that neighborhood? Will there be tranquility in that neighborhood? Will people want to live in such a neighborhood? That's what happened on a social level. Exploitation erodes relationship between neighbors, families, and businesses. Yes, of course. Trust. People lose trust when there is exploitation happening. I'm literally. I'll tell you about myself that if I'm sitting outside in my anywhere, there's a place where I really like to sit. I just sit over there, and there are few times where people come and they show me this scheme, and hi, brother, you're really looking very happy, and can I talk to you for a while? And it triggers me that what does this person wants from me? Because people don't talk like that now. They don't, and if they are, then there's something hidden back. There's some catch. That's what happened in a society where Exploitation is a norm. Trust start to erode. People don't trust each other. If it's happening in a family, people lose trust in each other in each other's family member, let alone on a societal level. People don't trust. People don't trust their neighborhood. People don't trust their family member. People don't trust their businesses or the other businesses. I mean, I'm reminded of this thing that I'm living in a city where you go to the gas station, we call it petrol pumps, and you ask them that I need just fill the tank with this much money, and it has literally become a norm that they don't fill the petrol in proportion to the money they are given. They always steal the petrol. They don't fill they don't fill the tank accurately and appropriately. It has literally become a norm. That's why people are very enraged at the petrol stations. And I think people are not even enraged now, because when this thing become a norm, then people literally accept it. What you're gonna do? Just give the money, fill the tank, and move on. And this thing has started to happen. Now I don't see that rage in the petrol pumps. I don't see that. People just give the money, they get whatever petrol they get, and they move on. Widening inequality. On a social level, what happens? Inequality widens. When wealth is concentrated in the hands of exploiters, while vulnerable groups sink deeper into the poverty. This, I don't think, is very hard to explain when you see that there is most of the wealth is getting into the hands of few one person, while the rest of the people are vulnerable, are exploited, are oppressed. There's inequality that keeps on rising and rising and rising. You see more and more wealth on the top side, and on the ground level, people have difficulty even to survive, to get food on the table. And it is happening in my neighborhood. I know that. It is happening in my neighborhood. While just few blocks away, I know this person who is a big builder, very big builder. Literally on a national level, he's a big builder. He has connections. He has connections in the governments, and he keeps getting, or at least his work doesn't get stopped. His work doesn't get stopped. And just two blocks away, here there are people I know of who are having difficulty to get food on the table. Same setting. That's what happened in a society where exploitation becomes a norm. If you have connections in the government, if you are filthy rich, then there are things open for you. If not, nobody cares about you. Go and die. Just go and die. And this create a generational harm. Children inherit debt burdens or grow up in an unstable home because parents are trapped financially. When you see, if a parent, if a family has taken a lot of loan or are in debt a lot, who is going to pay back that money? Their children will. And if at least there's not a debt burden on the family, then there will be financial difficulty, and children growing up in in that family will face that instability and chaos and frustration and resentment because of lack of financial stability in the family. That's what I was talking about. That these system is formed in a way that it makes sure that we all our life are in debt, and even our generation, our children, they make sure that after these people die, their children are also in debt, always working for us. A new form of slavery. That's what I call it. This is slavery. There's no other definition. There's no other definition for this thing except for that these banks and corporations are the new manufacturer of new manufacturer of a system that makes slavery a norm in the society. I think this video has become. I think I'll stop this video, inshallah. Now there are still two things I wanted to talk about. That is a financial consequence. What happened to a society where there's exploitation has become a norm? What are the financial consequences of that? And then I wanted to talk about the spiritual consequences. So I'll try to make another video of this, inshallah, and I'll make sure that I make a video tomorrow only. Although I am uploading a new video every single day, I'm trying to do that. I am not sure I would be able to do that or not, but I'll try my best, inshallah. So the purpose of this video was just to give people the awareness of what is happening. And I didn't even talk about the main point why I literally made this video. Well, the reason I made this video was, for those of you who don't know, I have started a series on the principle of Islamic finance, where I try to talk about what are the principles Allah has given us in the financial world, and when we don't implement that, what are the consequences that happens in the society? That's what I do with these videos. This exploitation video which I made today, this was inspired by, because this is a principle in the Quran where Allah says that trade is allowed for you and interest is forbidden for you, and you are not allowed to exploit other people. This is a principle in the Quran which Allah gave, that nobody is allowed to exploit other people. So that was the purpose of making this video, to give this example out, that Allah has commanded us. Allah has already given the solution of life and world and everything till the day of doom for every one of us, and all we have to do it is start implementing in the book of God. And like I say again, like I say every time, I'm saying it again, Quran is not only the book of Muslims, it is a book for humanity. When exploitation will spread, when inequality will spread, when there will be financial distress, there's not only Muslims who are going to suffer, everyone will suffer. And when there will be stability in society, there's not only Muslims who will be happy, everyone will be happy. So we have to get back on these principles which Allah has given us in His book, and start implementing those principles and start teaching those principles to others. Start learning it and start teaching it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just learning and sharing what I know. So I'll try to end this video over here, and tomorrow inshallah I'll make a new video on the same topic, on the same principle which Allah has given us. Exploitation is not allowed for anyone.